Wanted to make a video here. It's a series that I decided to make. It's concerning my trip to a few Civil War battlefields like Gettysburg, Antietam, and Petersburg, and all that for the last week or so. That's why I haven't posted any YouTube videos, because I was really busy out of town. But there's a sense of feeling I cannot explain being at these battlefields. It's a feeling that I can't really express. For the last year, I've been really into understanding as far as what veterans went through, what happened in different wars, the respect I have, and where it comes from. I watched Ken Burns' Vietnam, although I was too young to understand it. After watching it, I've kind of seen from all points of view, and I thought to myself, now I get it. For years I didn't get it. For years I didn't understand it. But I do get it. I may never understand it, and I'll never know what they go through. But it drove me up into this huge sense of respect for the people that went through Vietnam and different wars. And so it was odd that after I got back from Gettysburg, my stepfather went to Arlington National Cemetery for the 50th anniversary of men in his unit that had died in Vietnam. He was in a 10-man unit, I believe, and he was the last one to survive. So he went to go honor them right after we came back. So I didn't know this was going on. I didn't know this happened. So it's kind of interesting that happened. And a couple of days before, I went through this situation with the Civil War battlefields and things like that. And he said he always wanted to go to to Gettysburg all of his life, but he never had a chance. So even though he could not go, I brought back some things with me. If he can't go there, I brought it to him. So I saved some dirt from the different battlefields and got him a few other things, basically to give to him out of honor and respect and things like that. So even though I couldn't put it into words, I made this video for people out there to show you how I feel about the whole thing, especially my thinking during the battlefields and being at Gettysburg and being alone and spending my time walking through the graveyard and looking through those tombstones. With that said, sorry, this is a long speech. This is the beginning of a series. I'm not sure how many parts I'm going to have it, but this is to honor those who have fallen and in the wars, past wars, since the beginning of this country, and those who have served, and those who have are serving in the future, those who have veterans who have been through it. I just wanted to say that I have a high respect for everything you've gone through. I really thank you for your service, and I appreciate every day everything you do. And I just want to say thank you, and this is for you. So this is the Lincoln Memorial, Address Memorial, delivered about 300 yards from this spot along the Upper Cemetery Drive. The site is now marked by the Soldiers National Monument. These are all the different wars. I see Vietnam, World War I, World War II. guess all of it lived in this area. It says the muffled drum's sad roll has beat the soldier's last tattoo. No more on life's parade shall meet that brave and fallen few. This is just some of the graves. They're numbered. 324, 325, 326. Actually, it's 8. 821, 822, 820. It's got their names, like Charles Horton, Regiment 11, Thomas Murray, Regiment 14, John Kiefer, Regiment 11, William Duffy, Regiment 17, and so on and so on, all the way over there. And then there's some right here in this area here. So, these are all the fallen soldiers, and right there where that statue is where Lincoln did the Gettysburg Address, dedicated to these soldiers here. And I know over there there's advanced in the 800s. Right here is 500s. So I don't know if each one is buried here, but it's dedicated to each soldier that was here. So I'm taking it this is a mass grave because it says Indiana 80 bodies. So, and then there's another one over here, Ohio, 131 bodies. So I'm taking it this is a mass grave. And then there's more. There's one over there and some over there.
This regiment was formed last summer in Maine. There were 1,000 of us then. There are less than 300 of us now. All of us volunteered to fight for the Union, just as you did. Some came mainly because we were bored at home. Thought this looked like it might be fun. Some came because we were ashamed not to. Many of us came because it was the right thing to do. And all of us have seen men die. This is a different kind of army. If you look back through history, you will see men fighting for pay, for women, for some other kind of loot. They fight for land, power. Because a king leads them, or just because they like killing. But we are here for something new. This has not happened much in the history of the world. We are an army out to set other men free. America should be free ground. All of it. Not divided by a line between slave state and free. All the way. From here to the Pacific Ocean. No man has to bow. No man born to royalty. Here we judge you by what you do, not by who your father was. Here you can be something. Here is the place to build a home. But it's not the land. There's always more land. It's the idea that we all have value. You and me. What we're fighting for, in the end, we're fighting for each other.
All these people killed in this small farming town. Such a small area, all these people that were killed. These are some of the men that perished, wounded. All these men fighting. Faces of battle is what they call it. You can see it in some of their eyes. Some of them got the 1,000-yard stare. Especially this one. Things these men seen. Things these men seen.
50,000 men died right here on this field, fighting the same fight that we're still fighting amongst ourselves today. This green field right here, painted red, bubbling with the blood of young boys. Smoke and hot lead pouring right through their bodies. Listen to their souls, man. They killed my brother with malice in my heart. Hatred destroyed my family. You listen. You take a lesson from the dead. If we don't come together right now on this hollow ground, we too will be destroyed. Just like they were.
And this is the massive monument. It's hard to really give you the scale, but it's dedicated to the ones that fell here, and then it says many of them are buried here still. Ones that fell the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of July, 1863. So this is the Kentucky Memorial. Kentucky honors her son, Abraham Lincoln, who delivered the immortal address at this site, now marked by Soldiers Monument. So it was right here where Lincoln did the Gettysburg Address. This spot. And then this is his address. The entire address.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met here on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of it as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that their nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they have thus far so nobly carried on. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they here gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
There's a huge air of silence here. It's hard to explain unless you're here. But it's understandable. I think people that don't understand should come here to see what it's really like, because it's more than just the Civil War. There's people here that died from several different wars, and I'm looking at one from Vietnam. So I think it's important that we should take the time, and when we come here, give a moment of silence and respect for those that have gave up their lives. I hope that our country doesn't fall into dismay after all this, but we'll end up in a civil war again. I hope not, but I think everyone should come here and just take the time to look and just give the memory. Some of these grave markers of soldiers that died, that fought in the war, World War I, World War II. There's one that died in 1943, so it was World War II, John Slayball. But what's interesting, sad actually, James Bodecker, Regis James Bodecker, died Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. U.S. Navy. So some of these are fallen soldiers that died in the war. World War I, World War II, 1943. Thomas Baum. 1945, infantry. Probably Battle of the Bulge, I'm assuming. Or now it would be probably War in the Pacific. So these are people that lived in Pennsylvania. A lot of them are, because there's a lot of them over there, Pennsylvania states, but there's one that's Minnesota, died in 1944, and there's one that died in 1945, pilot, Lieutenant Harold Kinsey. It's a pilot, probably War in the Pacific. There's one that just died recently, 2014. He's born the same date as me, January 19th. It's sad. All these people fought and died for this country. All these people died for this country. And we have nothing but people that disrespect it today. It's truly sad.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. And this morning, the Japanese attacked Midway Island. Japan has therefore undertaken a surprise offensive extending throughout the Pacific area. The facts of yesterday and today speak for themselves. The people of the United States have already formed their opinions and well understand the implications to the very life and safety of our nation.
Here's another one that died in Pearl Harbor, George Joseph Stembrowski. December 7, 1941. I say thank you for your service, past and present, and those that are planning on it in the future, see this video, thank you for your service.